I like to think I'm not a hypocrite, but when it comes to my kids and motorbikes, I fall squarely in this category. I feel comfortable flying down a twisty track, bouncing off obstacles at crazy speeds. But then I get nervous when my son wants to join me for a ride to the corner store. Why do I calmly accept the risks of harm to myself but can't bear the thought of my kids getting injured?
There are no easy answers for parents when it comes to how much risk you're willing to tolerate. But it's interesting to note we are getting too protective of our kids nowadays, in so many ways. For example, many use antibacterial soaps and get obsessive about a germ-free house to prevent our kids getting sick. But research increasingly shows this can lead to a poor immune system as our kids get older. A certain amount of germs and infections are needed for our kids to grow healthy. And of course, the same is true when it comes to physical activities like riding. Kids learn to assess risks and experience the consequences of their actions. They learn that life is an adventure that can and does involve pain too. They learn how to cope with the ups and downs of life. At some point, we can only be doing our kids long-term harm by wrapping them in cotton wool while they are in our care.
Of course, it's a natural instinct to protect our own flesh and blood, and like many parents, I resort to the tried and true psychological defense mechanism, denial. When faced with an unbearable reality, just reject it and insist the risk is not real at all. Eventually though, I realized I had to accept the risk of injury to my kids was real, and we had to discuss it as a family. My wife had even stronger concerns than I did, as she's usually a spectator being forced to watch situations she has no control over. We bought child-appropriate armor, helmets, and protective gear. We worked out a system of hand signal communications and how to best enjoy riding but minimize the risks as well. And, at the end of a great day, we discuss everything around the dinner table, including what went wrong or might have gone wrong.
There is a lot we can do to let kids experience the thrill of riding, but also cut down on the risks. Get them good helmets, armour and protective gear. Actively teach them good technique, which will make them safer riders. Noah Ferguson is an extremely talented local rider, making a name for himself as a junior motocross rider. Now, I must admit, I would be freaking out if I was watching my kid over jumps like this. But Noah learned how to ride properly at a young age and progressively developed his skills so he can throw his bike around with minimal risk. And for parents who find motocross too much of a leap, get your kids into trials riding, the slowest and safest form of motorbike riding, but also one of the most challenging. Kids who learn trials usually become extremely talented riders in any type of motorbike riding later on, and often with far less injuries too.
Most kids are drawn to motorbikes, and yes, they'll probably have no regard for the consequences, and at some point, they will fall off and hurt themselves. But how do we let our kids learn these important life lessons? Riding with our kids has brought our family closer together. And it's great how when the kids don't feel comfortable, we can discuss it, and how they are learning to think logically about handling the risks.
It's always a shame when overprotective parents deny their kids the thrill of experiencing life on two wheels and all sorts of other adventures. It is understandable, but surely it's better for your kids to acquire a few scars from real-life adventures instead of calluses on their fingers from computer games. For many, riding becomes a lifelong addiction, and fortunately, there is no cure.